Jungkook, it's decided. Don't say anything more about it. We are not doing that. Why? And who gets to decide that? How can you say so easily that it's decided just because you wanted it? What about me? I don't have feelings. Jungkook, why don't you understand? It's not about feelings. I can't have someone else's blood or race getting old and living happily in this house. Fine. What's wrong with that? Just like we don't have children. Some children don't have parents. And it's people like us who are responsible for adopting them. Jungkook, why am I responsible for something like this? We're not talking about this anymore, please. I'm not allowing this. Whatever you say. Fine. This is not how it works. We have been trying for years, and that too with several treatments. But maybe we're not destined to have one of our own. And there's nothing wrong with that, as there are a lot of people like us. Fine. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Blood and race doesn't matter. We will treat him like our own and raise him in a way that will feel like he is our own child. Jungkook rubbed his hand on his forehead, as he was already really angry from business related stuff, and now he is not even thinking from his right and calm mind. Jungkook, just tell me you're not going to listen to me. Fine. Okay, let's talk later, when you're a little calm. Jungkook, don't leave this hanging. I asked you if you're not going to listen to me or not. Fine. I cannot do that. Let's talk when you're. She shouted when he unexpectedly threw the glass of water on the floor, which was on the dining table. It broke down, having a loud noise of it being shredded into pieces, which made Vine put her hands on her ears, for she was having old flashbacks of memories, which are nothing but a trauma for her. She kept her hands there and started screaming as she sat on her knees. Jungkook looked at her in anger, but his expressions immediately changed. He was surprised to suddenly see her like this. He ran towards her and held her shoulders, wearing confusing and worrying expressions on his face for her. Jungkook, what happened? As soon as he got close to her and said something, she backed down and shouted again. She got rid of his grip as he was holding her shoulders. Her childhood trauma was triggered badly. When she was little, she used to get bullied a lot. A group of girls in her class would ask her to bring food for them, and if it wasn't good, they would beat her. They would ask her to clean their shoes by her tongue and beat her whenever they wanted. It was fun for them, but they crossed the limit that day. They asked Vine to come to their home, otherwise, they would beat her again. She went there and they asked her to make food for them. She refused them and threatened to call the police, although the police never helped her. They got angry and boiled some water to pour it on her. She screamed a lot for them to not do it, but they didn't care and poured it on her shoulders. She was screaming from pain, and they threw the glass of boiled water on the floor. Whenever she hears a glass being broken, whether it's a mirror or any other glass, she is reminded of those things. She is reminded of the pain that she suffered that day. Thankfully, it became a big issue after that, and those students got strict punishments. But still, what did it do to her? Did it relieve her trauma? Did it heal the scars that she got that day? No, she only suffered pain since that day, whether they paid the price or not. She screamed again as Jungkook held her shoulders and backed down to get rid of his grip. He got really tensed as he could see her hands that were shivering, eyes that showed only fear, and cheeks that were already covered with tears. Jungkook shook her by holding her arms and constantly calling her name, but no response. So he held her legs and waist to pick her up from the floor, at least, and took her to the bedroom. Her breathing was still fastened, and she was having a panic attack by now. His heart felt burning sensations. Seeing her like this, he kept saying sweet words in her ears to calm her down, but she didn't listen. Finally, he hugged her while having tears in his eyes as he said, I'm really, really sorry, Vine. Please come back. What happened to you? Please, I'm sorry. Her breathing was becoming slow when she heard someone say sorry that she needed so bad at that time when the water was being thrown at her. Although her breathing slowed down, but other symptoms remained same. Vine tried to come into her senses, but she started hiccuping. Jungkook broke the hug and immediately kissed her on the lips to calm her breathing. Her breath slowed down and she slowly came into reality. She looked at her surroundings and saw Jungkook having tears in his eyes and regret covering his face, for he was probably in a worse condition than her. He suffered together with her. Jungkook was holding her waist tightly and kissing her to show love and provide as much warmth as she needed. Looking at him, she immediately forgot about what she was suffering from and had him all over her mind. For she came out of her trauma and now wanted to calm him down. For she kissed him back to let him know she is fine. He opened his eyes as soon as she kissed him back, and a wave of satisfaction hit his heart in an instant. They kissed each other for a minute, which was filled with more emotions than they ever felt together. It was filled with love, tears, and compassion for each other. After a minute, Jungkook broke the kiss and hugged her. He patted her back for a second, and then, after breaking the hug, he looked at her as he wiped her tears and asked her, Are you okay? Please tell me you're okay. Fine. I'm okay. I'm finally fine, considering that I have someone to ask me that. Thank you so much for taking care of me, even when you were angry. He kissed her on the forehead and said, Thank God. Thank you so much for coming back. I was really scared, he said and hugged her again, trying to claim her and tell himself that she hasn't gone anywhere. Fine tightly hugged him back to calm him down too, as she saw that he was sitting on his knees on the floor while she was on the bed. Fine. Guess I'll have to calm you down now. She groaned while trying to pick him up from the ground, for he laughed and got up by himself. He sat beside her, for she put her head on his chest, and he gladly patted her hairs as he said, I'm really very sorry. Fine. No, I'm sorry. I knew you were already angry, so I shouldn't have started the debate. It's my fault. Jungkook. No, don't make me feel bad by saying that. Jungkook. I love you so so much. Why? I'm fine because I have you. I love you too. And remember, our debate didn't end. We will surely talk about it tomorrow. Jungkook. There is nothing left to talk about. We're adopting. She broke the hug and looked at him with widened eyes as she said, What really? But why suddenly? Jungkook. Because you wanted. I had this thought while kissing you earlier that if I lose you, this is the thing I will regret the most. And just like you said, race and blood didn't matter in our relationship too. So I might give it a try, considering that it's something that you want. Fine. You thought all this while kissing me? Jungkook. You don't know what I felt in that 1 minute. It was more like an eternity for me. Fine. I didn't know. He hugged her back and said, It's fine. Don't worry. Fine. Thank you so much. He smiled and said, Let's sleep now. We have to go to the orphanage tomorrow too. She got too excited and kissed him on the forehead. She quickly laid down on the bed, for he laid beside her, and they both slept while hugging each other.